Hello, my name is Hadi. I came to Leeds 2 years ago and I'm a destitute asylum seeker. That means I don't have any support or any accommodation, and I need others to help me for placing to sleep. And when I came to Leeds, I didn't have any place to go, and that's why I go to British Red Cross. And with few phone calls, they found out a place for me and they gave me an address to go and spend that night. Then when I go to that address, there was a very, very welcoming family, and they opened their door and they welcomed me with very, very kind heart, and I felt very, very warm and very welcome that night.
I think the best thing that you can do to start with when someone arrives at your house, so a new guest is on the doorstep, is to say to them very clearly, you are welcome, and let them know that they are very welcome in your house, and to let them come in and feel that they are welcome.
I suppose the first obvious thing is that you eat together, and we found that people were interested in resting, and you show them their room and they're happy because they've got a base then for 2 or 3 or 4 nights.
Because the alternative is potentially a night on the streets or a night in the bus station, and yet like just opening your door and having someone to stay, which is really, really easy to do, is so kind of like changes like someone's like life for that week.
Asking if they've eaten and being ready to perhaps to share a meal with them, and to show them what will be their room and how to work things in the room, if there's a television set, how to work it, and where the bathroom is, obvious things like you would do with any guest, I suppose, anybody who came into your home.
I think we are probably on the spectrum, quite on the relaxed side of the kind of hosts, but that's probably because a lot of our hosting has been in shared houses where there's quite a different culture and sort of different use of space and things anyway. I could imagine, if you've got children or sort of like a larger family, things might be slightly different.
Until we started hosting, we didn't really know what the house rules were, that it was because we're living them, we kind of never have to discuss house rules because we know how things work here. But it just I suppose once we'd started hosting, we became aware that we needed our own space sometimes. So as an example, we keep the living room just for us, for just family, and there might be times where we choose to have a family meal or a meal with friends coming round, and we ask guests not to be around at that point.
The battle isn't making people aware that they're in your house, and that it's more the opposite, that it's more of a struggle to make people feel welcome and relaxed. Like if you say you need to be out by 8, they'll be standing at the door with their bag at 7:30. Do you know what I mean?
Things like not smoking in the house, not having friends to stay over, not using computers, or if those things are to occur, that we've been spoken to first and agreed that that's okay. So kind of encouraging guests to ask permission to do things, I guess, really. Yeah.
For me, the most difficult thing is when you get a message or something saying, "Oh, could you host tonight?" It's like there's still a few minutes of like, that's an extra thing for me to sort out today. You know, like it's temporarily like a feeling of like, it's like a job has landed on my plate kind of thing, like now I've got to sort out. But actually, like if the more you can sort of like see past that, like it's always worthwhile. Like by the time you meet the person and sort of like have time to like just process, like, they might have actually just literally been in the bus station tonight.
When you become aware that someone has absolutely nothing in terms of money, and that can be distressing if you think about it too much. So I suppose I try not to think about it very much and think about what we can do and provide in terms of a a room and food and warmth if people need it. But I try really hard not to think about how little some of our guests have got.
Mm-hmm.
It's so kind of basic. What somebody needs is just like somewhere to sleep and some food. Like, so there's only if you don't want to get involved in the intricacies of their case, or if they don't want to talk about what's happened to them or anything, then you don't.
No.
We wouldn't want to lend people money, but we can put them in touch with one of the many organisations that are here in Leeds to support people. There's Meeting Point and there's Pathras, just spring to mind immediately. So if I felt that someone was in need, then either I would make a phone call and discuss it, or I would refer them to discuss it themselves when they go to those places.
Recently had a guest staying for several months who was a very good guest and cooked lots of delicious food and did lots of stuff around the house as well, which was really good. That was very memorable. But I think often, obviously, if people stay longer, you form a sort of closer relationship and you do things together and you form more memories.
It's changed me as a person, it's taken me out of that protected bubble and shown me what the real world is like, and that you can make a difference no matter how small it is. And I think that's great to happen to anyone. I think it'd be an amazing experience.
And I really recommend it as well. And we've been doing it for 10 years, and I think there's maybe 2 or 3 occasions when things haven't gone great, but it's never been anything dramatic. It's never been anything, no one's ever stolen from us, no one's ever assaulted us or abused us in any way. It's just been that it's been slight, a bit more tricky, and in 10 years it's maybe happened 2 or 3 times, and then I think we worked out we'd had about 30 or 40 people over the years that have just been great to meet.
Anyone thinking about being a host will think about the potential things that could go wrong against the potential benefits. But what we found is that, like, by a long shot, the benefits outweigh the potential bad things. Like, it's reasonable to think about the things that could be difficult, but I don't want to ham them up too much, because basically the benefits are much bigger.
Yes, the rewards are considerable, and where Kirsty says, yes, you recognise cultural differences, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it, to say that we recognise what we have in common, and it's amazing what you do share. You share a sense of humour, and there's a generosity of spirit there, which is it's reciprocal.
And you get so much sort of out of it in terms of meeting people, finding out what happens in other parts of the world, and just the whole experience of the kind of cultural exchange that I mentioned earlier, I guess, is just quite a privilege, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you don't even have to leave your own house.
Grace Host make a very big difference in people's life, and also I want to thank everyone who are part of LASSN, and also thank the people who want to become part of LASSN. And I met very, very kind heart and wonderful people in the time I was part of Grace House, and thank you and thanks LASSN for everything they does.